Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me say first of all a heartiest welcome to all of you this morning. This event is first of its kind and it's a unique setting. We have gathered here to discuss the doctoral programs and we are discussing it in Lahore. So naturally, there is more representation from Pakistan than other places. The idea was finalized in MDISA 2 years back, and I take the responsibility for forwarding this idea. And as the story goes in Urdu, that there were 3 friends sleeping in a room, and there was a knock on the door. So first knock, second knock, third knock, nobody responded. But then eventually someone said, look, there is a knock at the door. So the other 2 said, since you have said it, so now you go and open the door. So I think I suffered because of it. There is another anecdote where someone was thrown into sea to rescue a baby, and he did rescue the baby. So everybody congratulated that, look, you have done a wonderful job, you risked your life to rescue a baby. He said, tell me who threw me to the sea. So first you tell me. I like to take a very brief break in my thoughts and would like to welcome our guests from abroad. This is the first time that we have someone from Russia, coming to Lahore and participating from business schools. I believe in the history of business education, this is the first link. And there are many other similar links that we can see. So I would request our foreign guests who have come across the border to please rise in your place and introduce yourself, your name, your institution, and your country. Thank you very much. If I would start from the first row, foreign, please.
I am Bob Wheeler. I'm last with Tony Lumbu Business School in Nigeria.
I'm Dean for Graduate School of Business, National University of Malaysia.
Thank you.
My name is Professor Dr. Ajahn Sri. I'm the Director of Postgraduate Issue Management, Colombo, Sri Lanka.
There are 206 degree programs currently being offered under these 102 institutions. Total accredited institutions number about 35. What we might want to note is that the number of PhD faculties in these 102 institutions is in all just 450. So we have 4.5 PhD faculty members per institution. And number of PhD programs in our 35 business schools in our 35 business schools in Pakistan are currently offering PhD programs. Not these 450 PhD degree holders are not concentrated among these 35. Of course, they are spread all over 102. So business schools are constrained by the availability of faculty, and they lack faculty to teach MBA and BBA degrees, and they lack even more if they were to think of offering PhD programs. Yet, motivated by the forces of compelling forces of constraints, they took the bold initiative of offering PhD program because that is the only way out. So they have started to offer PhD programs to make themselves more self-reliant. Yes, they can wait that in the normal course of circumstances, MBAs would graduate and then some of them would be motivated to go to academia. They would opt for PhD programs abroad. They would go, they would complete their doctoral studies, and dutifully they would return back to their homelands and join the business schools. It happens, but it doesn't happen at a pace that is required of the business schools. So business schools have no choice but to work with the limited resources they have and lay down the foundations of a PhD program. This PhD program certainly has strengths as well as weaknesses. Pretty much the situation all over South Asia is quite the same. So there is realization that we need to come together, we need to share our experiences, exchange our thoughts, and look into the state of doctoral studies, the current affairs of doctoral programs, and see what can we do together to refine them, to improve what we have, and to better respond to the stakeholders. Now, doctoral faculty is in short supply all over the world. AACSB reports that each doctoral successful graduate has at least 6 offers even within the United States. If you add to that the requirements of doctoral faculty all over the world, then the number would increases to about 10 or 12. So doctoral faculty is in short supply. And to have doctoral faculty to teach BBA, MBA, and also to act as backbone of doctoral programs is certainly a tremendous challenge and expectations from that very limited short supply already under heavily stressed. So the expectations have to be met by doing something extraordinarily and doing something out of the box, and by taking some bold actions. So these 35 institutions have taken a step forward. They could have feared the risks, and they could have shown reluctance, and they could have shied away from taking this step to protect their repute and maybe not to embarrass themselves down the road. But I believe that let's take it positively, that there is no other way out. Business schools, the situation of business schools will always remain the same. So we need to take advantage of these 35 programs in Pakistan. We need to build them, and we need to give them confidence, and we need to do something to build their capacity, and we need to help them and support them and reinforce them so that they can do a better job. So this is the idea of this South Asian colloquium, and when I put forward this idea in the MDSA board, everybody immediately agreed upon it, and the onus fell upon me to hold the first of this kind in Lahore. I'm sure the next one next year would be in India, and so on and so forth. So when we will move into different countries, we will have more representation from within the country, and we will have more sharing from within that country, and that would add value again. Now, another very important dimension is that the job of business schools is to prepare business leaders. The preoccupation of business schools is to develop human capital for businesses and industry. Now, when the key members, their prime faculty, is limited to PhD programs, then the main primary preoccupation suffers, because then those courses at undergrad level and grad level are taken up by simple MS and MPhil. and they don't get to be taught by senior PhD faculty members. Now, PhD faculty members, we know what they receive in terms of compensation and benefits, and what is the proportion of that compensation and benefits in the overall scheme of budget of compensation and benefits. Now, since if the rollover effect of that investment would take time, if 3, 4, 5 PhD members are spending their time and investing their energies and focusing upon just a few PhD students and their courses, it would take like 5 to 7 years to see them graduate and then taking on the further responsibility. So there is this delay for 5 to 7 years in this investment, and business schools need patience, and I can see that business schools are going forward that route. So, but when I talk to MBAs, I see that they have a grievance, and that now these business schools are no more. They are looking like a professional education, centers of professional education like law or medicine. So business schools now, their faculty is also required to publish. So they have to lock themselves, they have to spend more time reading, more time writing, and more time going to the conferences. So their detachment from their business, from their regular MBA programs and BBA programs, their detachment from business and industry is costing business schools their identity. And partly also it is reducing the satisfaction of the primary stakeholders, employers, and MBA degree seekers. So this is something that of course needs to be balanced, and this is I'm sharing this as a kickoff question. Now, one advantage of this program is that job of academia, and especially the universities, is to create new knowledge, and new knowledge based upon their context, and new knowledge about the problems, issues, challenging, facing business and industry within the environment. So I think here is a benefit that can be drawn into the teaching of business courses, that no more business schools would limit themselves to the leading textbooks taught in America or North America or Europe, due to knowledge creation cycles running within MS MPhil programs, their courses, PhD dissertation, MS MPhil thesis. This new knowledge is about within their own context, and this is something which within which business schools can create their own niche and uniqueness, and they can get also published in foreign journals. So here is this great value that can be added through these doctoral programs and MS MPhil programs, when business doctoral students and MS MPhil students would go around their business and industry and find out the problems and develop their papers accordingly. So this is something which is I believe that which is there. We can see some progress. We can see lots of conferences now going on. We can see young researchers coming up with papers focusing on themes within the local context. So there is this progress. This is progress per force. There is no budget for that, almost no budget. And here is another challenge, that corporate sector hasn't yet shown its trust that a research and business school would add to their outcomes. So this relationship between research and teaching within business schools and their business outcomes is not yet clear to them. So of course, government will never fund this research within business schools. There is very limited, scarce funding for them. It would be primarily private sector, and private sector hasn't come forward to the extent it is required. So now, poor students interacting with heavily stressed faculty, PhD faculty, with no budget to develop innovative, creative, brilliant research ideas and pursue their papers, and then in an attempt to achieve respect and repute by publishing in foreign journals and impact factor journals, index journals, which is required by HEC. So this is the biggest challenge. And Dr. Shahid is very kind and generous that there is no fee for doctoral programs, but in other places there is a fee also. So poor students also pay for doctoral programs. Many of them are also on job because they are in the, not in the midlife, but pre-midlife. They graduated like 4, 5 years, 6 years back. They have family, increasing numbers within the family, and they have got the burdens to shoulder within the broader family. And yet there is this aspiration that I will have to be PhD if I want to commit myself to academia. So I think the commitment is tremendous. I can see these students active from early morning to late at night. They are on job in morning, within the institution or outside. They are within the academia for courses. They are doing work, they are reading, they are writing. So, but that commitment has to be properly backed up, supported, and channeled. And if we would be late, it would not give us the results we want. Now, another, two small issues that we need to keep in mind is that those who go for PhD programs have taken an MBA. Most of them have taken an MBA degree before, or some kind of MS or MPhil. Those who come to the stream from MBA, holding MBA degree, they have interest and enthusiasm to do PhD, but and they meet the eligibility requirement, but they are not really good at research. They haven't gone through any research-based course within MBA. It was mostly theory or case studies, so they lack the exposure to research. They are not refined. They are not accustomed to reading research articles from research journals. So it takes time to turn them into a pure, proper, full-blown researcher. It takes time. It's a challenge, and there is a lot of work that needs to be done to develop foundation in them. And same is true for most of the faculty members within business schools. Business schools faculty members have a load. They have to teach number of courses, and business schools are about business of the university, business of the institutions. They are expected to generate resources so that universities and institutions can survive. Universities cannot raise as much revenue from other disciplines. So the burden is upon the business schools. Slowly, I think because of NBAC, there is this change where business school leadership is now not anymore so amiable to the dictates of the university leadership, and they are wanting more share of their resources so that they can spend more within the business school to hire more faculty to provide better resources. But this is a slow process, and business schools have to also develop a turnaround strategy for faculty to make them more productive in a PhD program. With these few words, I would like to open this workshop. We have a whole day with us. It's going to be very interesting. It's first of its kind, and we look forward to your frank opinions, your ideas. We didn't want it to be like this. We wanted it to be a U-shape so that we can really crisscross and exchange freely and discuss. But this is, I was told that this is only how it was possible. So we would try to overcome this gap that is within the audience and the people in the stage is there. And feel free to say whatever you want to say. This is very important. We are reporting everything. The proceedings would be recorded and also shared and published. Thank you very much.